Morning show. Going live every day. It doesn't matter. 24/7, 365. We are here delivering free picks for you. Don't have much to talk about today, but we're gonna find something. Jay, how's it going?
What's going on, Chris, man? No action today, man, but still plenty to talk about, plenty to look forward to, and I'm glad to be here with my guy Roof.
There's still some stuff on the board, but it's stuff that normally we don't really cover. There's other people that do on Pick Dogs, and hey, if you're looking for WNBA action, I believe there's articles on Pick Dogs and Sports Chat Plays for that. Got Goran who did the MLS video on our Pick Dogs channel if you're looking to bet some soccer. So still some action to bet on the board, but again, stuff that Jay and I don't normally dabble into, but maybe we'll have to go DGen Wednesday and maybe dabble into it later on personally. Who knows? At least that's what I might do. I don't know. I can't speak for Jay, but Jay, less than 24 hours removed from that All-Star game, the National League snapping the 9-game losing streak. Well, what'd you take away from that game?
I was upset that my American League Rangers lost. It was fun to see my team, have six players in the field at once. That's the first time that's been done since before, I think it was like 1951, the Brooklyn team or something like that. So that was cool to see. And it was a cool game to watch. The National League did get it done. I was on the wrong side of everything. I had the over in the American League, so that wasn't fun. But it was a good game. And Elias Diaz, with the MVP, that was fun to see. I didn't really expect it to be him, but um, he showed up and he got it done.
Yeah, I think the thing you got, at least from a betting perspective, if you're ever going to bet the All Star game going forward, is maybe avoid a starter if you're going to bet the the All Star game MVP, because we've seen it. I think Mitch alluded to it yesterday. It's usually the guys that are the fill-in guys, the guys that see action later in the game, that the ones that end up being the difference. And especially when there's so many rotating pieces, guys only go an inning or two, and it's it's just something that I think a betting takeaway for me. But the two takeaways that I have, one from a personal perspective, Dusty Baker doing the right thing, but man, I'm worried about Jordan Romano now, the closer for the Blue Jays. One after that home run for Gurriel Jr. got overturned, leaves with back tightness, and we kind of talked about it yesterday that what managers do with players from opposing teams, and you know will they do the right thing? And Dusty Baker proving that he was going to do the right thing. He saw immediately, and Jordan Romano said that he felt that his back was tight, and I think Dusty Baker even said after the game, we still got to worry about the fact that this is an All-Star game, but these guys still have teams to go back to, and these teams still have a second half of the season to be played. So good to see that it's not lost on managers in the All-Star game, Jay.
Yeah, that was cool to see. Good to see. And I think I hope the back tightness goes away because they sure do need him uh, down this stretch run. So we'll see what's up with him.
Yeah, they can't afford to lose another bullpen arm. But for me, the main takeaway from that All Star game, and I know people are gonna argue with me and fight me on this, but I would argue that the two most competitive All Star games, and I think the MLB, and I'll get to a point in a sec, the two most competitive All Star games in professional sports are NHL and MLB, and MLB is the most traditionally competitive All Star game of the major sports. Yeah, the NHL is competitive because they go for a cash prize, but it's still a 3-on-3 tournament of the teams in the different divisions. It's still kind of got that hokey video game skills competition kind of feel to it. MLB is just traditional. Once American League versus National League, 9 innings, the best of the best, and it's competitive. We saw it again. Now the under 14-3 in the last 17 meetings after yesterday, Jay.
Yeah, I agree. I think is the most competitive All Star game, and simply because it's kind of in basketball you can lollygag on defense. You can allow the other guy to shoot any shot, and especially at that tier of guys, they're hitting damn near everything. So the NBA, we know what that is. NFL, we've seen them now completely do away with the game by how terrible that was. Nobody wanted to tackle. That's a real contact sport. So, injuries are really real in that sport on any given play. So I kind of understand the football. But baseball, you know, the pitcher not trying to give up no runs for real, and the hitter he want to hit for real. So there is a more competitive nature in the baseball game, and that's why I do like it, and I think it is the most competitive. In basketball, if he scores on you in the All Star game, who cares? It's just a highlight. But if you
Yeah.
give up a home run or a few base hits in one inning in an All Star game, people are kind of looking at you like, you sold.
Yeah, it's yeah, there's no other way for me to kind of put it. I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's just I don't want to say a lack of motivation because I think people still take All Star nominations somewhat seriously and they hold it as somewhat of an accolade, but the All Star game itself just feels like, eh, you know,
Yeah.
in the NBA and the NFL, like the Pro Bowl, it's that's the only word I can use, like it's because
They've
like
now put a flag in the NFL.
yeah, it's got I think it's gotten to that point where would we trade in um would we trade in a an extra week of the NFL season or something, or even a bye week for these guys to rest up as opposed to the Pro Bowl? Yeah, I think we would.
Well, the thing is, it's already at the end of the season. It's already a break.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, you know what? Fair enough. But I mean, like,
Yeah.
I just mean like if you switch the date out, you put it like maybe
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
closer
mean,
to
I
the
like
end of the
I
season.
like what the NFL's doing now with it. They're just making it, more of a gathering for the guys. Just come together, let's do some skill stuff. Let's recognize you guys. But that's
Yeah,
pretty much it for this type sport. It's just the sport it is.
yeah, fair enough. But move on. Before we get into the rest of the MLB that we're going to talk about later on, any takeaways from the summer league? I know you've been doing the jam session for the summer league. Anything that you that's kind of stood out to you?
First of all, summer league is tough. That's number one because the rosters are not. It's not like the regular. We already know the roster manipulation that goes on during the regular season in the NBA, with them not announcing who's playing, who's not playing until minutes before tip. And in the summer league right now, it's even worse because they really have no reason to update. Yesterday, my favorite play was the Thunder, and line was, 4 most of the day. We went all the way up to 6.5. And then probably 20 minutes before tip, we found out that Holmgren and a few of the Williams wasn't going to play. Line dropped down to 3, and they ended up getting the doors blown off by the Rockets. But hey, that's Summer League right now. Overall, I will say fun to watch. Watching these young guys get in there and try to establish themselves and work on their game that will translate to the NBA, especially like the second year players. Those are the main guys I'm watching, guys that we've seen in the NBA. Now that I have a step down in competition in the summer league, you kind of see their game really elevating to another level. Guys like Jabari Smith, Benedict Mathurin, Hardy. We saw Keegan Murray go off. Those are just a few guys off the top of my head that I've seen in the summer league. That have really shown me some things in year 2, and I think will translate to their main teams in the regular season.
Yeah, Keontae George, a guy that stands out for me too. That's really shown up. Jabari
Yep.
Smith through 2 games, averaging 35.5 points per game. So
Yep.
I don't think that's going to be sustainable. I'm willing to put a little bit of money on that over into the regular season, but yeah, like you said, it's good to see a lot of these young guys that you and I and a lot of people have followed since college. We were like, hey, we know that. Hey, I know that guy. Oh, I didn't know he played for them. Or I didn't know he
Right.
got picked up by them. But it's sort of the next wave, the next generation because unfortunately Father Time's undefeated and the and everything just keeps moving. You just have to keep watching to see who's going to be the next. I'm not going to say LeBron, but like the next, you know, top guy. Like
Next All Stars, yeah.
yeah, exactly. You got the guys of the future, the guys that we're going to be watching for the next 10 to 15, maybe even 20 years. So yeah, it's good to see these guys. And hey, I'm interested in seeing Chet Holmgren post up on Victor Wembanyama, and it's gonna be like two beanstalks going at it. But I will give Chet Holmgren credit, man. He put on a little bit of weight and a little bit of muscle. He's starting to show it. That was my concern with Chet Holmgren, was that someone was going to open up a door on the 200 level and it was going to blow him over. But
So I know a lot of people like Victor Wembanyama and think that he's probably a lock for Rookie of the Year. I don't think so. Chet Holmgren is eligible for Rookie of the Year this year, and I think Chet's team will be better than the Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder Buddies. They made the play-in tournament last year. We made a ton of money betting them last year with Shea Gillius and the young crew and Josh Giddey and the guys, and now adding Chet to that. We saw what he did at Gonzaga. I think he's going to translate very well to the NBA, and especially with a guard, two guards that are pass heavy, like Giddy and Shea. I think he's going to get some volume, and I think he's going to have a legit shot to win Rookie of the Year.
Now,
What are the odds on that? Let me see right quick.
yeah, and I hear I will say this. I like the idea of Chet winning Rookie of the Year. My only concern though is that it's like a lot. It's like the MVP, right? Our view, or some people's viewpoint of the MVP should be who is the most valuable to their team's success, right? So, you know, if a team goes 62-20, you know, is it the best player on that team, or is it the player that's done the most? And I think that obviously we go with the player that's done the most. And I think that that's where Chet might slip a little bit. Yes, he is going to be a stud this season, but I worry with Oklahoma City that yes, I think they're going to be a much improved team, but there's just going to be too many mouths to feed on that team. Whereas opposed to Vic, he's the guy that everybody's watching, right? Like yes, Spurs have Sohan, they've got other guys, but Wembanyama's going to be the focus. That's if he stays healthy. I told Mitch, I said this to Mitch on the morning show. My concern with Wemby is that how many times have we seen these tall guys, and Chet Holmgren is a perfect example. These guys that are 7'3", 7'4", and all of a sudden they have a bone in their foot that just snaps, and then all of a sudden they have like a Liz Frank injury or something like that, and they're out for the season. So if he stays healthy, I think Wemby is a great shot. I think Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson are going to be value options for Rookie of the Year because I think they're good fallback plans. If you're concerned that Wembanyama is going to get injured like I am, I think Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson are two solid bets, especially if the Blazers trade Damian Lillard, which it looks like they're going to.
So currently, I think this one I'm looking at, I'm seeing Victor minus 225, Scoot plus 350, Chet plus 450, Brandon plus 950.
I'd rather have Scoot and Brandon Miller personally. Like I said, I don't mind. I don't mind.
I like Chet plus the
I
450.
don't mind your look at Chet at all. Like I said, I like the especially at plus 450. Like I said, it's just for me the team dynamic in OKC is what scares me a little bit with that.
I think it helps just because I think of the three teams, of the four teams, they're going to be the best. And, they're going to be the team that, or at least I think so. I think it's going to translate next season. We'll see, though. It's probably going to be Victor Wembanyama, though. 9 times out of 10.
Oh man, minus 225. I hope not, but we'll have to see. Maybe.
We'll have to see.
I know futures aren't everybody's thing, but it's one of the things that we got no games today, so it's kind of like one of those things we're just trying to talk about stuff. Give people some content to look at, and what Jay and I are going to do today, we're going to look at some baseball, not futures necessarily, but teams that we're going to look at for the second half and stuff like that, and it's also going to maybe give people some insight as to what we can look at right out of the All-Star break. And the trade deadline also not that far away. So maybe teams that are going to be sellers. And we're also going to maybe do a couple minutes talking about NFL and NCAA football. So we'll get right into it, Joe. We talked at MLB. Are there any teams that you're buying into or looking at for the second half, or teams you think that everybody should kind of watch out for? And don't tell me the Rangers because we already know.
No. But as much as it pains me to say this, a team to watch out for in the second half of the season is the team in my Rangers division. And it's the defending champs, man, the Houston Astros. I do think my Rangers hold on and win the division. I do believe they do that. Maybe it's the fan in me, but I really do believe that our guys have played really well this season and will translate to them winning it. But I can't put it past the Astros. The Astros have been the team the past few seasons. Baseball has ran through them. We've seen them come to Texas recently and kick the crap out of us in that series. We got to call a spade a spade. And we've seen teams in the second half of seasons catch fire and go on to make runs in the World Series like the Phillies did last year. And I think if the Astros can get healthy, which I think they will during the course of the second half of the season, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we seen them go on another run. That's just one team off the top of my head.
Yeah, I kind of struggled with this because there are teams that I like, but the thing is, teams I don't want to say I want to necessarily buy into. They're teams that are they're like leading their divisions in the second half of the season, but I think a team that you have to buy into are the Miami Marlins.
That was my second team. I
I
promise you.
this is a team that is, and I've said this, in my videos and stuff like that. This is a team that's playing with swagger, and they're playing like a team that doesn't know that people weren't expecting them to do anything, or they're playing with a team like a team with a chip on their shoulder, and they've got a decent rotation. They've got a decent bullpen, but they have I shouldn't say decent rotation. They have a pretty good rotation. They've got Sandy Alcantara, the reigning NL Cy Young winner. Yes, he has been a shell of that Cy Young winner, but still a Cy Young winner nonetheless. And we have seen that
He's kind of played better.
yeah, and he's able to eat up innings, which is what you need from a starting pitcher. This is a guy that, yes, okay, he's capable of giving up 5 runs in a start, but he's also capable of a complete game shutout anytime he takes the mound. At least you can bank on him for more often than not 7+ innings, and he's capable of going. Braxton Garrett has risen to the occasion. They've gotten solid work from Yuri Perez. Is he going to be overworked? Maybe. He's a rookie. He's only 20 years old, but still, an ERA just over 1 at home this season. He's been almost lights out, and they've been getting fill-in performances here and there across the board. Once they start to get healthy, I think this is going to be a team to watch out for, especially when you get the guys like Edward Cabrera back. And like we said, the Miami Marlins are in a great spot for a wild card right now. They're right up there, tied with whoever's going to be the runner-up in the NL West. The Milwaukee Brewers are jostling with the Reds in the Central, and the Marlins are right up there as well, 14 games above 500. So, yeah, I think the Miami Marlins are a team you got to watch out for.
I definitely think they're a team to watch out for. That was going to be my second team. And then my third team, going back to the AL West, man, I just think it's a really tight division. And I think if things break the right way, this team could be kind of scary too, the Seattle Mariners. Their offense has been, they're struggling this season. But I think if they can make it into the wild card or something like that, they're going to be a very dangerous team because their pitching is next level. I think that they could go, 2-3 games scoreless, like down the stretch if they needed to, not giving up a run. I really like the rotation enough to do that. I worry about their offensive side, but like I said a minute ago, we've seen teams kind of heat up down the stretch, and if their bats pick it up, Seattle Mariners might be a team to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, and I'll give out one more as well, and I'm going to go back to the NL East myself, and I'm going to say the Philadelphia Phillies. It pains me to say it because you never know what this Philadelphia team is going to bring you, especially in case, in the event we're talking about the bullpen, always flaring up. Don't have the most consistent starting rotation, but Ranger Suarez has been good since rejoining the rotation. Aaron Nola, if he can avoid the one big inning, I think Ron's touched on that on his rundown a few times in the home run ball. Nola is capable, again, a guy that's capable of giving you 6 strong innings. Zach Wheeler, still an ERA around 3 this season. So the pieces are there. Taijuan Walker, when he pitches at home, fantastic. When he pitches on the road, but the pieces are there, and let's not forget, this is still a lineup that's got Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos. When they're healthy and when they're actually hitting the ball well, this is one of the best teams in baseball from a talent perspective. I know Mitch might roast me for saying that, but on paper, the names would suggest that this is a really good lineup. It's just that the results necessarily haven't been there, and I get it. Results are this whole basis that we're talking about is results driven and results based, but I think that if we've seen this team last year make a run, and if they can make it, they're capable of doing it again. So I think the Phillies are a team that you have to watch out for. Will they finish the job? Not saying that. I'm just saying just be a little bit weary of this team. But and we talked about teams where. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, who you selling on? I want to hear who you selling on.
Who I'm selling? Okay, I got a couple that I'm selling, and the first one's not gonna be a popular opinion, and it's not homer bias or anything because it's the AL East. I'm selling the New York Yankees. I really am. This team has been dreadful without Aaron Judge. When he comes back, sure, the offense will probably pick up, but this is a team that struggled against right-handed pitching for much of the month of June. And we always talk about how one player doesn't make a team, but it sure seems like it with the New York Yankees. And that pitching rotation has fallen apart. We talk also, in past seasons about the curse for the All Star game starter. It happened with Shane McClanahan last year. I think it could happen with Garrett Cole, and I've thought Garrett Cole, with all due respect, has been a little bit overhyped, a little bit bought into, a little bit too much, maybe given too much credit. Um, you know, I don't have any strong love for this New York Yankees team. I think this is going to be one of the more disappointing finishes to a season for a New York Yankees team in recent memory. So yeah, New York Yankees are a team I'm probably looking to go against for a good chunk of the rest of the season. Jay, what about you? What are you looking at for a fade?
First, thoughts on the Yankees. I kind of agree with you. I think that they're just going to be kind of what they are right now for the remainder of the season. Just okay. Even when Judge gets back, they might get a little better, but I think they're in a tough division, and I don't see them really doing much more damage. I'm sticking in that same division with the team that I'm selling on, and I know this is going to be a very unpopular opinion. I'm selling on Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, they've been struggling here of recent, and yes, they've gone, like I say in the NBA, stupid, dummy, crazy at home at the Trop, 35-15, but they scare me on the road, just 23-20. And yes, they started the season out extremely hot, but since then they've been pedestrian. And if I had to pick a team to win this division, I would probably go with Baltimore. And then I think Toronto can even catch Tampa Bay if they go on a nice little run, especially if their rotation comes back together the way that we know it can. So I would probably have to sell on Tampa right now. McClanahan pitched well, but and we saw, how do you say? I can never say his name right. The hitter, Ariziano.
Rosarena.
Yeah, I think he will continue to have an amazing season, but I think the Rays are going to fall victim to some games. They might give them up late, and we see them continue to kind of slide, and especially in a tough division like they're in. So I'll probably have to sell on the Rays. I don't think that they make the World Series, or even maybe the second round.
You know what, I agree that it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but it's not necessarily going to be unpopular with me. I think you could be onto something. I mean, we saw it with the Yankees last year, right? The Yankees, I think they won like 67 of their first 100 games. They started, absolutely bananas to start the year, and then like you said, they tailed off. And no disrespect to what the Rays have done, they've been really good this season. But outside of Shane McClanahan, you know, the rotation's kind of fallen apart a little bit. I mean,
Okay.
yes, you can roll with a bullpen game, but that Rays bullpen hasn't been what it's been in past seasons.
I agree.
Um, Ryan Yarbrough, no, no, not Ryan Yarbrough, sorry, Drew Rasmussen. One of it was supposed to be one of their key pieces. I think he needs Tommy John now or something like that. He's on the shelf long term. Jeffrey Springs has been injured, who was a key piece in the rotation last year. Uh, Tyler Glass now has come back and he's been okay, but this was a guy that when they traded for him was expected to be the next ace of the rotation. Luckily, Shane McClanahan evolved, but you know, Glass hasn't been what he was set out to be. So yeah, I could see it with the Rays. I could see them sort of faltering. I could see the other teams around them sort of getting better. I mean,
Me too.
I think that's the key to it. Especially when you mentioned, you made a very good point. It's the toughest division in baseball. All the teams in that division have a 527 winning percentage or better, when that's really not the case in any other division. And you look at, I'm just trying to look quickly here. Every other division has at least two teams that are under 500. So yeah,
Yep.
I could get there with the Tampa Bay Rays for sure. Um,
You got another one? I got one
I'm
more too.
yeah, you go with another one. I'll come back. I'm just trying to pick out my other one.
One more team I'm selling on. I think they've been hyped all year, and I'm just going to continue to sell on them. The San Diego Padres. I'm not a believer in this team. They have a ton of talent. We know that, but it's not translating to wins. And I think they're currently the fourth best team in their division, and I don't really see them improving. I like the Dodgers more. I like the Diamondbacks more. I like the Giants more, and I think the Diamondbacks That's one of my sleeper teams right there. It's been a team I've been on all year with Gallant and the crew. But I'm still selling on the Padres. Yes, they could probably turn it on, but would I want to bet that they do turn it on? Of course not. I'd rather keep fading them until they do. They did kind of play a good stretch to close it out, but I'm still not a believer. I'm gonna sell on San Diego.
Yeah, I have two that I'm stuck between, but I'll tell you what, I'll give you the one that I really am selling on, then I'll give you my third one sort of like a lean. But the one that I'm really selling on in the AL West are the Los Angeles Angels. Um,
Mm.
this is a team that, yes, we've seen them disappoint time and time again in the past. This year they were showing some signs of life. I mean, Shohei Ohtani's been the heart and soul of that team. Mike Trout has had hot and cold stretches. The problem is for Mike Trout is that what's plagued him his entire career, he cannot stay healthy. Last year it was his back. This year he has the fractured wrist. And he's not going to be back until September. It looks like, at least from what I've seen. Late August, early September. And this Angels team was struggling with him. And there's only so much that Shohei Ohtani can do. I said that during the Diamondback series. They ended up winning, I think, the series finale of that series. But when you're only scoring 2 or 3 runs a game, there's only so much that Shohei can do. And if you don't put pieces around him that can produce, the names around him are nice, but they're not doing anything. And the starting pitching rotation is nowhere near what it needs to be outside of Shohei to be able to be able to contend. You're trying to make up 7 games at the current moment in the in the AL West, and that's with the Rangers and the Astros in the same division. Jay, like you and I have said, those are 2 teams that you and I are high on going down the stretch. And the other teams in the AL, I just don't see any way that the Angels contend here, or at least make a run. So I think this is an Angels team that's finishing below 500 once again. I think Shohei Ohtani has his bags packed by the door. He's got the moving company on standby, and yeah, I think he is gone like yesterday.
I'm
Um,
right there with you. I'm right there
yeah,
with you on the Angels. So did you see the little quote yesterday that Shohei was talking about Seattle? Talking about how it's beautiful out there. The fans really love Seattle.
but he's got to say that. I think because you don't want to say, "Oh yeah, Seattle's a dump." It's like you
I
go there for
know,
the All
man.
Star
But
game. That's the
hey,
one thing you say. Say, "I don't like Seattle." No, of course it's a
you're
PR
right.
thing.
You're right. You're right. But still, I think he's probably out of there soon. I don't really trust their bullpen either. And like I said, I'm really buying on all the other 3 teams in the AL West. So I guess that means regression for the A's, who are 500 right now, and I would probably say might finish like right at 500 or right below.
For the record, I do not think Seattle is a dump. I'm just saying. I can't. I just realized how that sounds. People might think, "Oh, what's he saying about?" No, Seattle's beautiful. I'm just saying, Shohei can't say something like that. I just think it's
Yeah.
optics. The other team I was leaning towards, and I'll just be quick on it, is I wanted to sell on the Milwaukee Brewers, just because I don't think
Mm,
this team is good enough. I don't. There's nothing to me about this team that says, "Hey, we're putting ourselves in a position to contend." And I don't think they're going to be buyers at the deadline. I also don't think they're going to be sellers. I think they're going to stay with what they've got. But who like you got Christian Yelich, fine, but outside of that, what do you got? Rowdy Telez. Okay, Willie Adames has been good, but outside of that, who else do you got? And really, I just don't. I think the Cincinnati Reds are a team that I probably should be buying a little bit more onto because this is an exciting team to watch. This is a fun team to watch. But you look at the
yeah.
starting pitching rotation, right? Corbin Burns supposed to be an ace, 500 record. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been ace level. He hasn't been what you consider to be an elite pitcher. Um, who's the other guys in that rotation? Freddie Peralta, I love, but he's a strikeout dependent pitcher, and the strikeouts haven't been there. Colin Ray, fill in arm, eh, So it's like there's nothing there for me. So and like I said, the only reason I didn't go full on sell with the Brewers is because the both Central divisions have been so wide open,
Correct.
that it is what it is. But
Before we move on, I want to ask you. Let's
yeah,
do this right quick. Let's
okay.
pick division winners for each division.
All right. I was gonna save that for later, but I'll move that up. Okay, let's see here.
We can
Okay,
start with the East, the American League East.
you know who I would say if I was a homer, but
They got a
second.
real chance, but I don't think they get there. I think they might make it a wild card.
from a value perspective, I think I could get on Toronto, but I still think there's value with the Baltimore Orioles at plus four
Me
hundred.
too. That's my pick. I think the O's come back and win that division.
Yeah, I think I got to lean towards the Orioles plus 400. I think is still a great price. I think, like you said, there's still just too much love, albeit some deserved love for the Tampa Bay Rays, but I think they kind of flame out. They're only 2 games up on the O's at the All Star break, which seems crazy considering the start they got off to start the year. But move on to AL Central. What do you think for the AL Central?
This one's tough. Because the Guardians, they have a negative run differential. So it's like, do I really want to count on them to do it? You know, they're -7 on the run differential, while Minnesota's plus 27. I don't really believe in either of these teams. I would give the small edge to Cleveland, though. Me personally, even though they got the negative run differential.
Okay, so hear me out on this. This is my thought. Let's take the AL Central, shut it down, and just take one team from the East, one team from the West, and take the other 4 wild cards from those 2 divisions because the NL Central has been dog crap. That being said, they're not going to do that. Rob Manfred, I'm talking to you. I have to go with Cleveland. I just think they're the more proven team. They're the team that's proven that they can do this before. The Minnesota Twins, another team that continues to disappoint year in and year out. Yeah, they've got a couple great starters. Joe Ryan, Sonny Gray. Cool story, but Sonny Gray is a guy that's, 5 innings. Joe Ryan just pitches much better at home than on the road. And to me, there's value with the Guardians. They're plus 130 to win the division. Yeah, they're only a half game up, and like we said earlier, both Central divisions are up in the air. But I think the value's with the Cleveland Guardians.
Yep.
So let's move on. AL West, then try to keep homer bias out of this.
Rangers. We're gonna win it. I know I said earlier I think that the Astros have a legitimate shot to come back and do it, and I think they do. I think the Rangers hold on. I really do. I just love it. My team from every aspect, man. I think we have the best 2 middle infielders in the game. Our pitching has been solid this year, even though we lost DeGrom. I still believe in, Eovaldi's had a really great season. Dunning has been able to count on. John Gray's been solid. I worry about Martin Perez a little bit. Maybe we move him to the bullpen. And our bullpen is the one thing that I think is going to hold this team back is the bullpen for the Rangers. That's I think is about it. But I think they hold on to win the division and make things interesting. But I think the Astros make the wild card, and you still can't count them out to make the World Series. That's how I feel for.
Yeah, this was probably one of the tougher ones I've had to look at, but I think whoever wins second in this division really has nothing to be upset about. If it's the Houston Astros, this is they'll probably still have had a really good season. If it's the Texas Rangers, sucks he didn't win the division, but this is gonna be a really good team for the next few years. So and plenty of division titles.
So trash for so long,
and plenty of division titles will be in their future. That being said, if I'm looking at this from a value perspective, I lean towards the Rangers just because they're getting plus money. But like you said, I would not be surprised if the Houston Astros, with their experience and their sort of been there, done that mentality with this, and once Yordan Alvarez comes back, which it looks like he's going to in the next couple weeks, they're gonna be a team that I think you have to watch out for. Not saying that they're going to be dominant. I'm just saying, just be careful. Move to the NL. Let's get this one out of the way. Is there any value on anyone besides the Atlanta Braves in the NL?
Nah, the Braves locked it up. Been done. The Marlins, I love what they're doing in the Phillies. You can't count them out, but they're not catching the Braves. I think the Braves have shown. I think right now they are the best team in baseball, and I wouldn't bet against them.
Okay, I'll say this. I agree. I think the Braves win that division. If you have $2 and you just want to get it out of your account, and you just want to have something to kind of cheer for and look forward to, just put a couple of bucks. Nothing crazy, but you're getting plus 4,000 with the Phillies and plus 4,500 with the Marlins. I think I think the Marlins are a great bet if anybody is going to catch the Braves, but I don't think they will. I'm just saying if you're looking to have some action at all, those are the two teams that are obviously in the mix in that division, but it doesn't look like it. So take that for what it is. I think the Braves win that division as well, but again, if you're looking for sprinkle on something exciting, maybe the Marlins or the Phillies plus 4,000 and plus 4,500 respectively. But move on to the NL West. This is interesting. You got the Dodgers at minus 230. Taking the Diamondbacks?
I'm going Diamondbacks all the way. I think they win it. Currently, what were they like tied for the division currently?
They're
edge.
Yeah, they're tied.
I like the Diamondbacks to get this done. I do. I just trust their pitching more. Like from starting to rotation to bullpen, I just think they're a team you can count on that's going to get it done, especially, they've shown up on the road. At home, they're about 50-50, but on the road is where, we've seen them really be dominant. And I would have to roll with the Diamondbacks in this division. I wouldn't want to lay 225 with the Dodgers.
I gotta go with the Diamondbacks as well. To me, it's the one that makes the most sense. I'm not as sold on the bullpen as Jay might be, but
fair.
And I'd like to see the maybe the pitching rotation improve slightly.
Fair.
I know the rotations shrink once we get into the playoffs, but I don't want Zach Davies anywhere near a pitching mound if I'm the Diamondbacks when we get to that late in the season.
I like Davies.
I'd like Davies to go away. Especially if I'm betting on the Diamondbacks. Unless I'm on the other side when Davies is pitching, then please stay as long as you need. But yeah, I think the Diamondbacks have all the value here. It doesn't feel like the Dodgers have the same oomph that they've had in past seasons. Obviously, the pieces are there: Freeman, Betts, Martinez, Muncy. I know I'm missing guys, but it feels like Will Smith. It feels like the pieces are there, but the rotation just doesn't feel as strong. Clayton Kershaw. Okay, he's been good, but the problem is he hasn't been great on the road. And I know that, it potato, but it's like, it's still Clayton Kershaw. So he's a Hall of Famer, but the results, you never know what you're going to get on the road. Fully capable of 7 strong innings, fully capable of getting lit up. Bobby Miller's stepped up, but the problem is he's started to regress. He's kind of been that sort of Graham Ashcraft kind of pitcher where first time he got hit, he couldn't really find his footing. He started to a little bit, but again, I mean, it's, we'll have to see how he does. Emmett Sheehan filled in decently, but again, these are not guys that you're banking your whole season on. I mean, Tony Gonsolin came back, but he hasn't been the same pitcher as last year. Julio Urias has been getting lit up this season.
Yeah.
He could probably turn it on late, but yeah.
I would probably bank on him to turn it around, but it's been so bad that it's probably not going to be the turnaround we're thinking. It's probably just going to be minimal,
Yeah, he's going to get back to sort of the average.
Yeah.
But the Diamondbacks are playing with house money. I don't know how you don't sprinkle anything on them. I mean, this is a team that everybody kind of wrote off coming into the season. Hell, I admit it. I even probably wrote them off coming into this year because they took a step forward, but I didn't think they were going to be this good. But, I mean, plus 400 with a team that's pretty much led the division for the better part of the season? Why not?
I mean,
I mean, are you concerned about tailing off at all, Jay?
Slightly, but I mean, what I've seen over the course of the season is, that they can do it. They did lose 4 of their last 6 coming into the break, but maybe just a little fatigue, from the heavy start, in which we've seen the Rays, Rangers, and the Diamondbacks kind of do. But I think they'll be fine, and I think they do probably win this division. So, and the value we're getting, like I said, at an even, they're even right now. It's too good to pass up.
Yeah, 100%. But move on to our last one, and we got a couple more things to talk about. Got NL Central. Right now, it's a 2-horse race with the Reds and Brewers. But what are you looking at in that one?
The Reds. Do you have the odds for it?
They're getting plus money right now, plus 130.
Yeah, give me Reds. They're just so exciting to watch right now, and kind of like you alluded to with the Brewers earlier. That's just a team I don't trust. You just don't know what you're getting from them on the daily. They're about a 50-50, 500 team in my mind. Um, on the other side, I like what the pitching for Cincinnati. I worry about a little bit, but the way their offense has played, I know the Milwaukee Brewers just won 2 of the last 3 against them, but when it's all said and done, I think Cincinnati is going to be the one that's winning that division.
Yeah, I got to go with the Reds as well. Something I'll allude to for our next segment, but I think the Cardinals at plus 2,000 to win this division is very telling, and I'll explain
I
in
can't
our
believe
next.
they dropped that bad.
Yeah, I'll allude to that in our next segment, but um, yeah, Cincinnati plus 130. I don't know how you don't take a look at it. Like you said, I alluded to the Brewers as one of my teams to sell on for the second half of the season, and then you look at the teams around them. The Chicago Cubs. Sorry, you got Marcus Stroman, you got Justin Steele, but the offense just doesn't work for me. Pittsburgh Pirates dug themselves into too much of a hole, and same thing with the St. Louis Cardinals. So by default, and besides the fact they're the most exciting team in that division right now, I got to go with the Cincinnati Reds right there with you, Jay. But let's look at teams that we think are going to be who do you think is going to be a buyer and a seller at the trade deadline? Start with
Um,
buyers. Start with buyers.
Buyers. I hope my Rangers are buyers for some bullpen help. We did go get Chapman, but I think we need some more. So I think we're probably going to be a buyer. Who else can be a buyer? I believe this one's kind of tough. What about you? Who else you thinking?
Honestly, I think the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to be buyers. I
They
really,
should be.
I
I,
think so. I think they need starting rotation help. I don't know. I haven't seen what the status is on Merrill Kelly. He was their number 2 behind Zach Gallen, um, and I think they do need bullpen help as well. I think they really need to add to that rotation, and like I said, add bullpen help as well. If they do, I think they'll prove to everybody who's maybe not a believer that they are serious about contending, and B, show that they're willing to do what it takes to keep this team in contention for the next few years. So, dude, I don't think they want to give away their whole future, but right now the pieces that they have, the future does look bright already for the Diamondbacks. I think you need to do whatever you have to do to give your team a better chance and improve that roster going into the playoffs, especially if you're going to make a stretch run in September.
yep. Now I got a few sellers. I ain't gonna lie.
All right, so I'm with you. There are a couple teams I could consider buyers, but nothing like overly strong. So
Yeah,
who
me
are you
too.
who are you considering to be sellers? Who's your first one?
Pittsburgh. I think the Pirates are going to be some sellers. I could see McCutcheon probably leaving. I could see Rich Hill probably going somewhere to try to be in contention.
To the old folks home.
That's where you need to be. But um, yeah, I could see that for my first one. I could see the Pirates. They had a great start to the season, but they've tailed off now, and I don't think they're coming back in this division. Not this year. I could see them for my first one possibly being sellers. What about you?
I said earlier that I think that the Cardinals at plus 2,000 to win the division extremely telling because in past seasons, even if this team was down well below 500, I still would have expected them to maybe be about plus 1,000 to come back and win the division because this Cardinals team has been a team that has thrived in the second half of the season in past years. Are they too far gone?
Yes.
Probably. So that's why I think this team could be a seller at the deadline.
Yeah.
It's not what Cardinals fans want to hear.
It's not,
That's
yeah.
but but realize this: if you're gonna still keep Goldschmidt and Arenado and try to build and say, "Hey, just wasn't our year this year," you can do that. But at a certain point, there's no excuses, right? Like this was a really good team on paper coming into the season. You lost Yadier Molina to retirement, but you still had, you know, Goldschmidt, Arenado, Lars Nootbaar had a great World Baseball Classic. They were high on him coming into the year. Dylan Carlson solid, Paul DeYoung solid in the infield. Just a great bunch of pieces, and this is still a decent rotation. Miles Michaelis hasn't been bad. Jack Flaherty was supposed to be the ace at one time, but nothing's come to fruition. I think if you're really going to build this team back up again and improve them, you got to get rid of a couple people. So I I don't think it, like I said, I don't think it's what Cardinals fans want to hear, but I could see the Cardinals being sellers and saying, "Hey, didn't work
Same.
out, so maybe let's try to at least get something for next year."
Yep. Another team I think could be a seller. The team with the highest payroll in baseball, the New York Mets. I could see them selling some guys. What are you going to do? Continue to pay this much and be mediocre? I don't think so. I think it's time for them to probably chop it down a little bit and probably get rid of a few guys. Now, who they decide for it to be is the $1 million question. But I don't think everybody on this roster makes it to the end of the season. I don't see it. So that would be my second team to watch out for. I could see the Mets being sellers as well.
So I don't have an actual panic button, but I have something that kind of looks like a panic button. And if I'm Stephen Cohen, I've got my hand right about here, and probably here in the next week. Like you said, Jay, I don't get it with the New York Mets. You basically committed all this money for two of the oldest pitchers in baseball. Yes, two first ballot Hall of Famers without question. Two guys that are fully capable of still tossing, a complete game, a no hitter, 7 shutout, whatever. But that's still what? Do some quick math here. 80 something million dollars in just 2 pitchers alone, and your big acquisitions have been Eduardo Escobar, Tommy Pham. Yeah, I know Pete Alonso was injured, but you still have decent guys. You still have Francisco Lindor. You still have, strong pieces throughout the lineup. Francisco Alvarez has been a revelation. He's really taken charge since he came up from the minors. And nothing. I get it. Being in the same division as the Atlanta Braves has been a curse for the Mets, not just this year, but in past seasons as well. But that doesn't stop you from at least contending. Right. And what have the Mets done? Diddly squat. So I think I'm right there with you on the on the Yankees. And I think one of the teams that for me, another seller I'm looking at as a team as a seller, and I don't think they're going to admit it, but a team that needs to be a seller are the San Diego Padres.
Yep.
This is a team that has consistently disappointed. They brought in Manny Machado. They thought Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to come back from suspension, and all was going to be right in the world. You bring in Juan Soto. Oh, you got a super team. Hasn't shaken out like that. Yeah, you got Blake Snell. Blake Snell has pitched well. This is Blake Snell's okay. I shouldn't say pitched well. Blake Snell's been almost dominant in the last 2 months.
Yes.
But last time I checked, you got to be able to score runs to win a baseball game.
You do.
Just my thought, right?
Especially when you're paying what you're paying for the hitters you're paying for.
Exactly. So. And if I said this in front of Mitch right now, he would absolutely crucify me. But at a certain point, starting pitching can do as much as you want it to. But again, he'd probably say that the offense still has to score runs. The offense still has to produce. Games are decided in the later innings, to be decided, at least for me. But you have Joe Musgrove. Joe Musgrove's pitched well. I'm just trying to think of the other guys in the rotation right now.
Darvish, that's my guy, even though he's been okay.
But the problem with Darvish is that he hasn't been very good on the road. He's still one of their better pitchers, but he hasn't been good on the road. It's failing me right now. I'm going to see if I can scramble and pull up the rotation real quick just to remember who's actually there. But Seth Lugo, is Seth Lugo an answer for your starting rotation? Probably not. They've been flopping through relievers left and right. You bring in Josh Hader, you trade away a bunch of guys for Josh Hader. Okay, he's been decent, but again, for whatever reason, they can't produce results. This is a team that, entering the All-Star break was 43 and 47, 8.5 games back of the division. I think they got to sell. I really do. I don't think you can keep adding pieces. One of my favorite quotes. I'm sorry. I know I'm on a filibuster here, but one of my favorite quotes has been, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result."
I'm looking at the roster and I don't understand it.
Right? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That's what the San Diego Padres are doing. The San Diego Padres are insane. They keep trying to bring in top tier talent. Blah, blah, blah. Try that again. They keep trying to bring in top tier guys, and they keep disappointing.
Yep.
It's long and short. So, San Diego Padres for me. But anyone else for you, Jay?
Nah, that's pretty much it for me. I see everybody off the top of my head that I think is gonna be heavy sellers.
If you don't got anybody, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
We can move on. Let me see if I can find one more thing. Here we go. Any futures that you like for player awards? I know, like I said, I know we've got. I kind of threw this out at you, but if we're talking about AL MVP, NL MVP, is there any other value you like besides obviously Shohei Ohtani right now -800 for the AL MVP.
I mean, he's locked in. I mean, I would say maybe my guy Corey at plus 1,600, but that's just pure value. I think Otani's the lock to get that done. Looking at the National League currently, it's Acuna -330. I'm looking at it. I don't think Mook gets him. I don't think Freddie gets him, and I don't think Corbin gets him. I think that the favorites are probably going to get it done. I love value, guys. I love value, but I love winning as well. I think both guys that are favored are going to be the two guys that hoist them.
Yeah, I want to take shots on value, but it's like it's like Jay and I argued about yesterday with Bo Bichette versus Corey Seager. The thing with Corey Seager with me is that I just don't know if there's enough of a sample size for me to jump on Corey Seager right now. If he stays healthy the rest of the way, that's what you got to take the risk on right now. If you're gonna take a shot on Corey Seager at plus 1,600 right now, you got to hope that he has an astronomical season and that Ohtani either gets injured or flames out the rest of the way. Which obviously nobody hopes for an injury, but that's what you got to. That's what you got to kind of bank on if you're making that bet.
Crazy enough, even if that does happen, I think he probably still wins it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I think he had that great of a first half of the season. Like Chris said, I love value, man, but me personally, I probably want to be betting Seager at that.
Yeah. What about anything for the Cy Young? Anything? I know Nathan Eovaldi at plus 900, but
hey, it's not a bad place to look. There, let me pull it back up.
Sorry, I know I kind of threw that at you.
No, you're good. You're good. The American League one is I think is still up for grabs. I wouldn't say there's just a pure favorite. I see Framber Valdez at plus 200, but Gausman at plus 350, McClanahan 850, and Cole at 400.
I think for me,
you know what? I have a pure value one that I do like.
Okay.
Luis Castillo plus the 2,500. I told y'all earlier, I think the Mariners coming down the stretch, if their bats can do anything at all, I think the Mariners are a team to watch, and it's mainly due to that rotation. I think Luis Castillo, one of the better pitchers in the league. I think if he cuts it on like I know he can, a lot of those games, those losses weren't even his fault. His offense just didn't back him up. I think we could see him in a pure value spot possibly to win it. My favorite to do it though, I don't know. It's tough, Chris. Who's your favorite in the American League?
You know what? I have a couple that I'm probably gonna put a couple bucks on. Let's see here. I probably either look at. See, the problem is there's nothing that really jumps off the page in the American League. But I will say this. I'm not looking at Garrett Cole because I do think Garrett Cole starts to stumble down the stretch, even though he probably does have the best numbers on the surface of all the AL starters. But Kevin Gausman maybe at plus 350. But I think that the true value is in two places: Shane McClanahan at plus 850 and Shohei Ohtani at plus 1,200. Would not surprise me if either of those guys won the Cy Young in the AL.
Yeah, That'd be crazy if Otani goes and wins Cy Young and MVP.
But the thing is, you could see it, right?
I can't.
Um,
I kind of like that. I might. Does he continue to pitch this well though? Does he?
yeah, that's
He
true.
got cranked by the Padres in that last one. They did not play with him.
Yeah,
But from plus 1,200, for the best player in baseball, it's not a bad place to be.
not at all. What about the NL Cy Young? Anything that jumps off at you?
NL Cy Young, I'm going with my guy, man, Gallen. I think he wins it this year. Um, Strider at 300 is not a bad place to be, and neither is Blake Snell. But I don't think that the Padres are going to do enough for Snell to get it. And I think the Diamondbacks come back and win that division. And I think, it's going to be mainly on the shoulders of Zach Gallen winning his games that he's supposed to win. So I like him at the plus 200. I think he does win it. I don't think Kershaw has it in him. So those would probably be my two: Gallen at plus 200, and then Snell at plus 950.
Yeah, I think if you're looking for me, I think Strider is probably the best bet for me out of that. I think Gallon has a great shot at winning it, but I like the value with Strider at plus 300. If there is value at plus 300, if you consider that, but I could see Snell, um, maybe in sort of a Felix Hernandez type situation where I think Hernandez won the Cy Young with like a 12-12 record or something like that, like a decade ago. Um, where Snell just he may have like a sub 500 record, but it's just like the body of work it does it for. I don't know. 6-7, 2.85 ERA this season across 98 innings so far, but 132 strikeouts. So if he keeps pitching the way he does for the majority of the season, even if the Padres don't win or even make the playoffs, I mean we've seen MVPs Shohei Ohtani where the Angels didn't make the playoffs, right? So who's to say that an NL Cy Young winner couldn't do that? But yeah, I would probably say Strider would probably be my top play for the Cy Young outside of Zach Gallen, and Blake Snell maybe for a long shot. But before we get into the football, quickly we'll just touch on this. What's your World Series prediction?
Well, quickly before I go to World Series
Oh my
prediction,
bad, did I jump over you? I'm sorry.
no, you're good. I got to give my Rookie of the Year.
Oh, Rookie of the Year. My bad. Yeah, totally.
Got
My
to give
fault.
my Rookie of the
Oh
Year,
yeah, I
man.
completely forgot about Rookie of the Year.
Hey, Young getting it done, man. Josh Young plus 120. He's getting it done. I'm sorry. He's getting it done. Gunnar Henderson's not going to get it. And Masataka Yoshida, I don't think he's going to get it. Hunter Brown is having a good season, but I think, he's a pitcher, so I don't really see him winning it. I think Young at plus 120. I think the odds are telling you all you need to know. He's had that great of a season in the field and hitting the ball. We just seen him be named as an AL starter as a rookie. I like him to win the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. But the problem is for me, plus 120, I don't think is enough for me to invest long term. Even if
Yeah.
Josh Young does have a good shot at winning it, or maybe it's just one of those things where it's like an interest account. You put money in it and just watch it grow as the season goes on. But I'd maybe lean towards Gunnar Henderson just as an outside shot. But again, nothing else really jumps off the page from the AL.
Yep.
For me, for the side, excuse me, for the side, we just did that. For the NL, you know what? I'm gonna go with. I see why Corbin Carroll's minus 300. I see it, but does Ellie De La Cruz do it? I mean,
Ellie
maybe.
De La Cruz.
I mean, plus 250. This guy, okay.
Hey,
This guy's played what, like 20 games, 25 games, maybe, and he's plus 250 for Rookie of the Year. Come on, like he's been outstanding, and it's like to me that just like he's hitting 325, 4 home, 16 RBIs, you know, pair of triples, 9 doubles. So of his 41 hits this season, 15 have gone for extra bases. 30
I don't.
games played.
I love Corbin Carroll. He's been a huge reason why I like the Diamondbacks as well. I told y'all they're my team to win that division, but Ellie De La Cruz has been the most exciting player in baseball that I can remember in the last 10 years or so. Like he is that electric. Every
Oh,
day when he plays, I'm watching for his highlights. I have his jersey waiting in my cart to be bought. Like I'm all in on the kid, man, and plus 250, not a bad place to be.
oh yeah, and one other thing: through 30 games, 16 stolen bases. What? Like Ronald Acuna Jr. and Esteury Ruiz right now are the two top guys for stolen bases. Ruiz shoulder injury. I may do in his season. He could be out up to 4 to 6 weeks. And Acuna Jr. still obviously one of the best players, if not the best player in baseball right now. But Ellie De La Cruz, I know Mill's saying he doesn't have the number, won't have the numbers. I'm concerned about Corbin Carroll's shoulder. A couple games before the All Star break, he had that one swing. I don't remember who it was against, and I'm just blanking on it right now. But Corbin Carroll took a swing, and then immediately after he took a swing, he was holding his shoulder, the same shoulder that he had surgery on. I think it was last year or the year prior, and I was concerned. I didn't, and I was stunned to see him back in the lineup the next day. But I don't know if De La Cruz stays healthy. I think he's got a shot. I just think the line is telling. This guy's only played 30 games. And he's already plus
I do
250.
too. I do
He's only
too.
plus 250 for Rookie of the Year. So that's where I'm going to put my money. Screw it. Why not?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now you asked me my World Series prediction.
Yes, sir.
Braves Rangers. Let's get it done.
I
That's why
mean,
I see it, man. I see it. The sky's blue. I know, but I'm going Braves Rangers. I think that's how it breaks down. I think the Braves have shown that they're the best team in baseball. The way their offense has been clicking, and then I do like their rotation with Strider, Elder, and the crew. I think they come out, and then the AL. I think it's super tight between the Astros, Rays, Rangers. But I give the edge to my Rangers, man. I do. The bullpen is the only thing that worries me, and the Astros do have the experience, but I think I think the Rangers can get this done. I do, and I think we can make the World Series. So Braves, Rangers for me right now, currently.
I think I think the Braves win the World Series. I really do. Now, here's my thing. Plus 330 is all well and good. But I touched on this during the home run derby video. I touched on this during the morning show yesterday. I honestly think the best way to maximize value is take a team that you think is going to win the whole thing. And if you're going to play the future on it, that's great. But if you have a couple bucks and your book allows this, bet the straight forecast for the future, meaning bet who they're going to beat. Take the top teams that you think can get there and put money on the Braves to beat them. The Braves to beat the Astros in the World Series plus 1,800. The Braves to beat the Rangers plus 2,800. The Braves to beat the Blue Jays plus 3,000. So I think there's value across the board there. I think the Braves win the World Series. Who wins the AL? This is tough. I don't want to say I got the Astros. I don't know. But the thing is, I don't love the Astros rotation, so I don't know. I think I'm just gonna stick with the Braves to win the World Series and just stick with it at that. The AL is just too much of a toss up for me. I'm not taking a Ruffalo on it before anyone calls me out on it, but
Now that's fair. That's fair. I told y'all a minute ago, man. I'm nervous about my Rangers and the Astros. The Astros have been the team that has gotten it done over the past few seasons, and I would not put it past Dusty to get his team galvanized down the stretch. But what I've seen over the course of the season, man, is the Rangers. They put it together. Yeah, they've struggled kind of down the stretch. I would mainly put that toward fatigue because they went so hard at the beginning. I think we can kind of see them turn up here. So we'll see. The AL West is super tough. I mean, not the AL West, but the whole American League is pretty tough. But I'm with you. If I had to pick a World Series winner right now, it would be the Braves.
well, we've already gone over an hour, so we'll try to keep this keep it short and sweet. But let's move on to football real quick. anything for the NFL is jumping out the page at you, whether it's a week one matchup, or maybe a win total for 2023, maybe a division winner, anything.
Let's see.
Cowboys.
Nah, I ain't gonna touch my boys, even though I do think we win the division.
Hey, whoa.
I think we win the division.
Got to rephrase that. That sounded a little bit.
There. You took me there, so I'll go there. I think.
No. I'm saying you got to rephrase it. You can't just say you're going to be touching your boys, because that's going to be it's a little.
Hey man, you got me.
You know what? What you do, non-pick dogs time. Hey, this is non-judgmental zone. I'm just saying, just trying to get us that explicit rating.
Yeah.
Okay.
I walked into that one.
Yep.
I think we win the division. We haven't seen a back-to-back division winner in this division in I don't know how long. It just doesn't happen in the what are we in the East? Yeah, in the East, the NFC East. I think the Cowboys get it done. I think the Eagles' schedule is going to be one of their main things they have to overcome. They have to play a first-place schedule this year. I think we see them take a slight regression. I think their schedule played a huge part last year in why they were so good. I do still think they're a legit Super Bowl threat and can get back there. But the NFL is more so than any other sport. Every year is some turnover. And I think we kind of see them regress a little bit. Probably, I would say 9-10 wins for the Eagles this year, and Cowboys probably 11-12 is what I'm looking at. But, yeah, that division. But my favorite one, quickly, I would go Packers under their win total. I think they're going to finish last in that division. I think the Lions probably win it. I think that the Bears are going to be better than people think. And I think this week one line is telling in Chicago, with Chicago being a 2.5-point favorite over Green Bay. I'm not sold on Jordan Love. I think the Bears behind Justin Fields are going to be much improved, especially with the weapons on the outside. So those are just a few things, football, on the top of my head right now. What about you? Or what you think about what I just said?
You know what? I'm with you on the Packers. I'm flexing their total to under 5.5 wins at plus 265. I think it's going to be growing pains in year one without Aaron Rodgers. This team was struggling with it with Aaron Rodgers last season. With Jordan Love, I understand he's been under the learning tree. Cool. Doesn't change the fact that it's still Jordan Love, his first crack at being a starter in the NFL. And I think it's going to be a rough first campaign for Jordan Love. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw darts at least for right now. Throw some darts at MVPs.
Okay.
And I'm going to look at a few guys. I'm going to look at Trevor Lawrence at plus 1,400.
I think they're going to be good. I like them to win their division, so I could see that.
I'm going to look at Kenny Pickett at plus 4,500.
I don't know about that
one. These aren't plays that I am dumping my whole bankroll into.
I get it.
But just with how up and down the AFC North can be, and how that is a division that any team can win on any in any season. I get it. Cincinnati Bengals probably going to be the class of that division, but you're giving me plus 4,500 with Kenny Pickett, who clearly took a step forward last season or towards the end of last season.
I like Pickett a lot. MVP.
I think. Okay, maybe not. Okay, is there? I don't know if there's there's not a most improved. I'm thinking, but
it's not bad. But now more and more I think about it, it's not that bad because the Pittsburgh, we know behind Mike Tomlin, they're going to be competitive.
They're going to be dogs. They're going to fight.
Yeah, they're going to probably have a winning record because he's never had a losing season.
Yeah.
So,
and the thing is, those division games are always tight. So if Pickett can have a decent season outside of that, I think Pickett could. I'm again, these aren't locks by any stretch of the imagination. He's still got to go through guys like Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow. Josh Allen,
A-Rod up there in New York.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you give me plus 4,500 with an up and comer like Kenny Pickett. I think it's at least worth looking at. I'm just going to look at quickly a couple of division winners. I see. It's telling to me that the Jags are minus 165 to win that division. I like the Bengals to win the AFC North, but I think if I'm going to parlay up Kenny Pickett, I got to take the Pittsburgh Steelers for a shot at plus 450. Man, and the rest of these divisions are tough. I know you like the Cowboys. I'm not faulting at -1 or +150. I could see them win the division, but I think for the value, the Giants at +850 could be worth looking at. I'm not saying that it's the strongest play on the board, but in a division that is so wild,
Yeah.
+850 to me just sounds a little bit much. And yeah, that's really all I'm looking at right now. Maybe I'll have some as we get closer to the NFL season.
Yep.
But
Teams
um,
that I like, teams that
yeah,
I'm gonna have my eye on
mm-hmm,
this season.
yeah,
Detroit.
okay,
Um, week one, I'm probably grabbing that 7, guys. I'm probably grabbing that 7 against Kansas City. Game 1 of the year, I'm probably grabbing it. I think Detroit probably wins their division, so that's a team I'm keeping my eye on. Um, Indianapolis, that's another team I'm keeping my eye on with Anthony Richardson. I think he's going to be better than many people think, and I think that they're actually going to buy into uh, build a team around him to make him the most successful. And in that division right there, I think Indianapolis has a serious shot of shocking the world and winning it. I'm Jacksonville. Yes, is the favorite, but I'm not really sold on Tennessee, and I don't think Houston is going to be much, even though they should be slightly improved. So, Indianapolis, Detroit, and let's see, one more, Denver. I know Denver was terrible last year. I had a lot of Russell Wilson jokes. Uh,
let's ride.
let's ride, man. But I like Sean Payton a lot, and I do think he goes in there and kind of steadies the ship a little bit. I think they'll be a little better than they were last year. Those are 3 teams off the top of my head. Oh, and Chicago are the 4 teams right there that I'm kind of keeping my eye on. Last year, I remember I identified Atlanta early in the season as a team I thought was going to be better than many people thought, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. Just pick teams that I think will be better than they were last year and maybe make us some money.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, quickly, quickly. 'Cause I don't want to keep you any more than I have to, but
Yeah.
college hoops. Jeez, I'm into November. College football. Anything that you're excited for? Any early matchups you're looking at? Any teams that you're keeping your eye on?
Man, college football this year I think is going to be one of the best years we've seen, especially right before the expansion. Um, we have a lot of talent in college football right now, like from the quarterback position all the way through. I'm excited to see what the SEC is going to bring this year. Texas, will they be back? I think your second season will be something fun to watch. I think Alabama this year is going to be on an absolute mission after missing the playoff last year and probably should have been in there. I still am on the hill that I think Alabama would have, if they were in the playoff, would have probably, you know, A, played a better game than TCU did in the national championship game because I think they would have beaten what's the name as well, Michigan, and I think they're going to use that as bulletin board material, and I think they're going to take a step forward. So I'm watching Texas, Alabama. Caleb Williams, I think, wins it again. The Heisman, I do. I think he's the next coming of Patrick Mahomes. He's better at this current moment than Patrick Mahomes was in college. And I'm somebody who knew of Patrick Mahomes before everybody. Um, Patrick Mahomes is from Texas. I watched him play a couple high school games as my high school played him in the high school playoffs. So I knew Mahomes was going to be pretty good then, but I really like what I see from Caleb Williams. He probably goes back to back. So there's just a few things off the top of my head.
Yeah, I will say the one team that I think you got to watch out for. Not necessarily they're going to do a ton in year one, but make sure you keep an eye out on this team, especially when you're betting week to week. Jacksonville State. This was a team that was really good in the FCS last year. They were a perennial team that you had to keep an eye on, playoff team. Rich Rodriguez, former Arizona coach, he has this run game of Jacksonville State humming, and they are going to run over a lot of teams in Conference USA this season. This is not your typical FCS coming up to FBS team. It's going to get their crap kicked out of them week in and week out, this team's legit. And I think that they are definitely going to be a team that you have to watch out for. Sam Houston State, the other team that's coming up, is definitely going to be an interesting team to watch. But I just think that Jacksonville State has a great shot at winning some games, and it's going to start week 0. They're laying 2 points at home against UTEP, but I think they can definitely take care of business there. So
I got one more thing for you.
Go on.
I can't believe I forgot about him, man. I fell for the hype. I did. Let's go Buffs, man. Colorado. I'm on the Dion train. I am. I'm grabbing that 21 first game against TCU. I probably will be at the game. I'm buying into the hype of Colorado. I think they go over their win total. I think Dion really is building something special up there. I think he did attack the transfer portal harder than anybody's ever seen. And I think it's going to translate well, man. He's a magnet. I've met Dion when I was like 4 or 5, and his personality is bigger than anything you can know. There's some people that are bigger than life, and he's definitely one of those. And I think we see that translate. I think he turned Colorado on the flip side, and I would take them over their win total, and I think that they're going to be way better than many people think. Maybe I'm wrong. I doubt it. I think they're going to be as good as advertised.
So I have a couple thoughts on that game. First of all, you are a braver man than I am, even taking 21-19, whatever you're getting the sign at. You're a braver man than I am, because I don't want to go anywhere near this thing right now, because I do not know what we're going to see from both of these teams. Yes, Chandler Morris was supposed to be the next big quarterback at TCU before he got injured last year. Led to Max Duggan taking over. We saw how well that worked out for TCU. It's great. The thing is, now I've got to see how Chandler Morris does. On the other side, like you mentioned, Colorado, there was a hype train behind the Buffs. And you bring in all these great players. You bring in, I'm just trying to think of it right now, you bring in Shedeur Sanders. You bring in, I think they brought in Kavosli Smoke from Kentucky. So they bring in all these great transfers. But it's not like a video game where you can stack your 2K roster and just expect everybody to play to their play to like cohesive. It's going to take a little while for this team. There's a difference between having great players and having a great team. And so I don't blame you for taking the 19, because there's a lot of optimism for Colorado. I think I would rather go with the over in that game. 60 points. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think there's going to be a ton of hype going into that game, not just for one side or the other. I just think it's going to be an exciting game, and I think it's going to be high energy from the opening kick to the final whistle.
I'm going, Chris. I got to be.
What I will say is that I think I like Colorado in the first half in that game.
Okay.
There's no line. There's no first half line yet, but I could see them getting a healthy amount of points in the first half, maybe 9.5, something like that, and I could see them keeping it within a touchdown in the first half, but then maybe TCU opening it up second half if they do. The thing for me is that Sonny Dykes has just always been an offensive guru, regardless of what he's had, regardless of where he's gone. So I don't think TCU's offense is going to have a hiccup. Do I think they make the playoffs again? That's a bit of a stretch. But for me, that's sort of just where I stand on that game. But Jay, I never asked you, do you have a jam session for the summer league?
Yes, I will record that as soon as we get off here.
All right.
I probably got like 3 or 4 games I'll go over.
All right. So, stay tuned. We will have Jay will have a summer league jam session up very, very shortly. So that being said, we ran a lot longer than I thought we were going to, but
hey man,
I'm not sad about it.
My guy Roof, man.
I'm not sad about it. I love doing this. Hopefully, be able to do this a little bit more in the future. It's not often that Mitch gets a day off, but you know what? I told him I would step in for him. Guy's worked 15 years straight, deserves a bit of a break. So, but appreciate everyone for tuning in. Appreciate Jay for coming on and talking shop with me. We always have a great time. And we will see you guys tomorrow morning, same time, same channel. And we'll have videos up tomorrow as well. Jay's jam session will be up, like you said, momentarily. And we'll see you guys for the drive-thru as well later on tonight. Take it easy. Have a good